You become a biker when you take motorcycling as a hobby rather than as a means of commute from point A to point B. So when you take this as a hobby, there are two things that happen. One, you start enjoying motorcycling rather than just using as a means of transport. You realize the potential of a motorcycle and how much of pleasure it can give you. It can give you pleasure that knows no bounds. It can give you a meditative experience. It can give you distraction from your daily course and really make you feel happy. But there is a problem, because when you start taking motorcycling as a hobby and you become a biker, you start outgrowing your motorcycle. Because like every hobby, there are different levels of motorcycling. For example, if you have a hobby of traveling, probably you start traveling with nearby destinations, then you go a little further, then a little further, then you take multi-day journeys, and then you go to the mountains, to the oceans, whatever it is. Similarly, when you start biking, you start with smaller motorcycles. Even an everyday commute motorcycle can make you or turn you into a biker. You don't have to have big bad motorcycles in order to become a biker. They can take you places, every single place on earth that you can imagine. Probably every single motorcycle in the world can do it. The problem is not that the motorcycle can or cannot do it. The problem is that you have become a biker and you derive pleasure out of the very fact that you are riding your motorcycle. And the amount of pleasure you derive, sometimes it is dependent, not sometimes, can be dependent on the type of motorcycle you are riding. If you are supposed riding a 100cc, 150cc motorcycle, that gives you a different kind of pleasure. It definitely takes you from point A to point B. But can I say that it gives you the same amount of pleasure as riding a 500cc motorcycle or a 400cc motorcycle? No, it doesn't. So the pleasure is different. This is something I won't be able to explain to you unless you ride a 400 or 500cc motorcycle, if you are a 100 or 150cc motorcycle rider, and if you are a biker. So bikers usually outgrow their motorcycles. Sometimes some people outgrow soon, some people outgrow later. And the curve is never linear. It's not that you will outgrow all your motorcycles at the same interval of time. And there are many other external factors that actually decide whether you are outgrowing your motorcycle or not, because motorcycles are expensive. As you grow higher up the cubic capacity and power, your motorcycle is going to become more and more expensive. So your pocket should allow it. So something similar has happened with me. So my motorcycling journey actually started with the humble Bajaj Boxer CT100, which was the first motorcycle I bought with my own money. And let me tell you, I have bought many motorcycles after that, 250cc, 400cc, but the first motorcycle purchase is still there, fresh on my memory. I cannot forget that moment. Even when I close my eyes, the image of me smiling and taking handover of the keys from the dealer, and it had a kickstarting my motorcycle, and taking the first ride on my own motorcycle was a different experience. And therefore today my journey, my ride is of a different kind. So I'm riding my Scrambler 400X. I think I have made enough videos on it. My experience of living with the Scrambler 400X. Fantastic motorcycle. I don't think in this power and price category there is anything close in the Indian market today to give you the amount of pleasure this motorcycle can give you. Torquey machine, decent enough power, or probably I would say enough power to take you on the highways and keep riding for hours. Very comfortable, a suspension that can deal with almost all potholes on the Bangalore roads and even outside, and lovely engine sound, grunty engine, no complaints. But it's been about 7 or 8 months that I have been riding this motorcycle, and sometimes your company spoils you. So I have been going around with a couple of friends. I was planning to keep this motorcycle for a couple of years, but then I realized something. One, that I am on the wrong side of 50 right now, and probably it will be a couple of more years before I kind of hang up my boots. Although I have seen people riding to the ripe age of 70, 75 or even 80 motorcycles. But if you really want to enjoy a motorcycle to the fullest, there are not many years left till when I will be able to enjoy my bike or motorcycle, and the thing which I love so much. And therefore I thought, at least once in a lifetime, you should upgrade something into something like a super bike, at least which falls in the ballpark of a super bike. What is the difference between a super bike and a normal bike? I don't know exactly. When you start calling a bike a super bike, and when you don't call it a super bike, if you have the answer, do put it in the comment section. So I'm off to the Kawasaki Langford Road showroom to take a test ride of the Versys 650 today. There is some amount of price difference, but it is not exactly the price difference. So I'm looking for the experience of a twin-cylinder engine. Now, twin-cylinder engines nowadays are available from below 5 lakhs thanks to Royal Enfield for making them so affordable. But as of now, the options available are the Royal Enfield twins, and of course the twins from Kawasaki, twins from Yamaha, all manufacturers, and Honda also, who have twins. But then I find their offerings a little tad too expensive for the specifications that they deliver, the Yamaha and the Honda motorbikes. To reach the Kawasaki showroom at Langford Road, and excited about my test ride and finally what decision I would take. So there you can see is the Kawasaki showroom, Bangalore Kawasaki, and there stands the Versys as well as the Ninja, I guess. Yeah, let me take a look at the Versys. I think this is the vehicle they will give for test ride, and you can see that that's the KLX 230R, and looks imposing, isn't it? So this is what I like about the Versys. It feels like you are going to ride a super bike. Looks considerably larger than the slender proportions of my... Here I am seated, as I was telling, I can almost flat foot on this, unlike my Scrambler. And can you imagine? Almost flat footing on the Versys, even though it is a much bigger and larger bike. Let me turn on the ignition. Lovely, it feels quality, you know, the moment you sit on it. Very nice TFT screen, and it also has a Bluetooth connectivity. Let me crank it up. Similar kind of switch gear, of course. Here are the mode buttons, and that's the sound of the parallel twin, which makes a lot of difference. There you go. So the map is asking me why you are putting the same destination where you are standing. Haha. That's how it sounds when you crank open the throttle. Is it in first gear? Yes. It doesn't sound, doesn't feel as, you know, torquey as the Scrambler, I can tell you, despite the parallel twin engine. It is probably, but doesn't feel like it, and that's much owing to the smoothness of the parallel twin. So but it sounds really grunty when you actually twist the throttle a lot. As you can see, the horns, yes, they work. It doesn't feel heavy, on the ride. Surprisingly light and nimble. It is extremely smooth, ABS light on. It feels really comfortable, and the first difference I feel is the comfort. The Scrambler is not an uncomfortable machine, the seat, but this seat is like a sofa. Even within the city, I'm not riding on the highway, and there is almost zero heat. Of course, I've just started the machine. Let me check out after some time, but I cannot feel anything. It's like a Splendor, a Super Splendor. Actually, there is absolutely zero heat I'm feeling from the machines, even when I'm twisting the throttle, revving it up to 8,000, even to 10,000 RPM. Nothing, absolutely. And as I go, and it sounds really nice, rev it to the limit, reach the rev limiter. So here I go, and let me take this route and see where I go. It is surprisingly smooth. The difference between a single cylinder and a parallel twin is so obvious that once you ride a twin, you are never going to go back to a single. That's what people say, and now I can realize why it is so. And it is surprisingly nimble and easy to ride even within the city in the traffic. But I thought it will be heavy and menacing, but the biggest advantage is that I can get my foot down, unlike my Scrambler, completely. I'm almost flat footing on this, and that gives you a lot of confidence. So if someone asks me whether this is a good upgrade from the Scrambler, yes, of course, why not, will be my answer. So I'm on the 4th gear. So it picks up from the 4th gear, 30 km per hour. Let me go to the 3rd gear. Absolutely tractable engine, no problem at all, very tractable. So I'm on the 3rd gear, 40 km per hour, twist the throttle, but this is a very linear power delivery. Do not expect a jerky power delivery, and this will not surprise you, not enthrall you, but it will make you feel happy. That's all I can say. It will make you really happy. But it's not that I can go to a highway right now to check out the limits of this motorcycle. So smooth. Actually, when you leave the throttle, you don't even realize the engine is boiling. Actually, is on the boil. And that's the funny part with this parallel twin engines. I'm not yet able to feel the power of this engine, because I don't have a road yet to experience it. But you can realize there is enough of power underneath the hood, and it's just waiting to be unleashed when you get the right kind of road in front of you. The good part of riding this machine in chock-a-block traffic is that there is absolutely no heat, and that makes your life very comfortable. If the engine doesn't heat up and it's not thawing your legs and your thighs, I can still feel zero heat, and I think that's going to make life super comfortable on this machine. So I always wanted to own a double cylinder engine, a twin cylinder, a proper twin cylinder, and was not really ever interested in the Royal Enfields because of their power to weight ratio. Particularly, they are heavy and they do not offer that kind of power. So you can imagine the Interceptor is also 650cc, or the Royal Enfield twins, they offer less than 47 bhp, which is in the A2 license category across the world. And this is also twin cylinder, 650cc, but this comes with 67 horsepower. and a significantly greater amount of torque. But this doesn't feel exciting, I can tell you. If you're looking for something that will kind of push you back the moment you two-step in the throttle and kind of give you goosebumps, this is not that kind of a machine. This will go, it can go really fast, it can do high speeds, but not something that will give you goosebumps. If you're just looking for comfortable touring, long distance travel, there is nothing like the Versys 650. And you are not someone that indulges in a lot of speed thrills, there is nothing, absolutely nothing like this in the sub 10 lakh category. Of course, if you cross the 10 lakh category or the 15 lakh category, you have the Tiger, you have the Transalp, you have a lot of other options. But below 10, comfortable touring, this is the machine you should get. Can it do a lot of off-road? No, it cannot. 17-inch wheels, and not just because it's 17-inch. They are road-biased tires, the Dunlops. And can you not change the tires? You can. That will increase off-road capability to some extent, but of course you would not buy a 10 lakh bike and immediately change the tires. It will wait for a while. Now I'm going to check how easy it is to turn around on this bike. It's a heavy bike, top heavy bike as people say. So it should be significantly difficult for the turn-ins. So I'm going to take a U-turn right now, and that's what I'm going to check. Let's see how the baby Kawa or the middleweight Kawa performs when it comes to taking U-turns. No, I cannot take a very sharp U-turn, so I have to be careful because this is heavy and this is big. I have managed to do it, but you cannot be reckless while taking U-turns. You have to be careful, is what I can tell you. Can it filter through the gaps? Yes, it can, but you have to be conscious about the bulk of the engine. And with the engine protectors which you have to put in, it is not easy actually. So it emanates very nice sound actually when you actually rev the engine. Does people take notice? Yes, people do. Doesn't sound like inline 4, but it doesn't sound bad as well. It's a very smooth engine. But yes, I cannot be as reckless and as nimble and kind of take turns at my will that I can do on my Scrambler 400X. But I can tell you this is far more comfortable even within the city limits when you are seated on the saddle, and it kind of soaks everything. Such a plush ride. I wonder if there is any other motorcycle even above or below its category that offers you such a plush ride. Maybe the cruisers at low speeds, but not an adventure motorcycle, I'm sure. Now I know why this motorcycle is so famous among people who undertake road trips. One of the biggest reason is the comfort itself. So if comfort is your priority, look no further as an upgrade from the Scrambler 400X or anything of that category. So I'm on my way back to Kawasaki showroom. Now the question is, have I decided that I'll go for the Versys? Probably, but there are two motorcycles I would still like to test once more, because it's not every day. Big pothole, not a problem on the Versys. Not every day that you invest 10 lakh rupees or 15 lakh rupees and go for a expensive motorcycle. Of course it's expensive for me, and now I can feel some amount of heat on my ankle. Of course it's a 650cc engine, it will heat up. It's not that it's not going to heat up. It's how the motorcycle manages the heat which makes a difference. And I think these are proven motorcycles that have done their duties for years together. satisfied customers, hundreds and thousands of them. Neutral comes in very easily. Beautiful gearbox, absolutely, and no complaints about that. And this is something I've heard about and read about Kawasaki, is that finding the neutral is probably one of the easiest on the Kawasaki because of some kind of a technology that they use. I'm not sure what it is, but Kawasaki's have some of the slickest gearboxes among all motorcycles. So today I went for a test ride. All that noise of the inline force. Today I went for a test ride of the Versys 650, as you know, and let me share my experience as to what I feel about upgrading from my Scrambler 400X. Just to be, just to talk about a few positive things. You know, it's supremely comfortable. The moment you sit on the Versys, you will realize that it's a supremely comfortable bike. And second thing you will realize is the smoothness of the parallel twin is very unlike the Scrambler. In fact, you will find it a little boring because you will feel that it probably doesn't have the grunt of the Scrambler, which is not the case because it's just the smoothness of the parallel twin. And the second thing that you will like about the motorcycle is, of course, how easy it is. I mean, it is about 840 mm of seat height, which is actually more, 5 mm more than my Scrambler, but the suspension has got a decent enough sag, and that is the reason I could actually almost flat foot on the Versys, whereas I kind of tiptoe on my Scrambler, you know. So these are the things that definitely I could connect immediately with the Versys as a positive connection. Things I didn't like, therefore I'm still undecided, is of course the engine sounds a little boring. I mean, it doesn't feel as grunty as even the Scrambler, although this is 40 bhp and there is 67, but somehow I felt that it lacked the bottom end grunt. I know that it's a sports tourer and it's supposed to have a linear power delivery, but then someone told me to consider some other options before I actually take a decision, because it is not every day that you invest 10 lakh rupees of your hard-earned money. So it is almost 3 times the price of my Scrambler, but it is 3 times the excitement. I'm not sure. Even twice the excitement, I'm not sure about that. So someone actually told me you should actually consider the Tiger Sport 660, the new one that's coming up in 2025, and also the Tiger Sport 800 that's going to come up, and maybe a couple of lakhs more than the Versys, but it's worth the wait. It's going to come sometime in the month of Jan or Feb. Probably I'll wait for that long and enjoy my Scrambler a little more, and then take a decision. So that's my decision as of now, and hope I'm soon able to reach a decision or a conclusion about owning my first super bike, and would love to share my experience with you. Till then, if you love the content that I create, do hit the subscribe button and do not forget to give it a thumbs up.